Lyrics went monthly peer. So compared to a lot of your other peers from your generation, you've spent most of your career in one company.
Yep.
So now that you're in AEW, what are one or two of those bucket list items that you're looking to accomplish, whether it's an opponent or a match type? What's something that you're really excited to do?
When I talked to Tony, I said, just in looking at the roster very quickly, like there's 14 names. I mean, that's just from a quick little cursory glance. But like I said, I mean, I've never faced Samoa Joe. That's really exciting to me. I've never faced or been in the same ring as Jon Moxley. Highly interesting to me. Claudio, never been in the ring. Like there's so many different talent here that I have a lot of respect for, and I'd really like to feel what that is. Kenny Omega, like that's never happened. I just met him. We'd never met before, There's a lot here to see and to challenge myself with. And again, that's my entire life has been built on challenges. So to look at that, oh God, a guy like me, that's a steak dinner waiting to be eaten.
Lyric Swinton monthly peer. So when you became face to face with Hangman Page, you talked about potentially being the first Black AEW World Champion. And so it seems like you're on that path. And what do you feel is your role in bringing Black viewership to AEW and making this place feel like, just like it's, welcoming for, Black viewers?
Well, I'm real. Like I can look everybody in the eyes the same way and say the exact same thing, and I will not blink because I'm not playing around. I'm not portraying anything. And I feel like if it resonates like that with you, it resonates with people at home. It resonates with kids like me at home. When I said that, and out of all the things, that 5 minutes that I was speaking to Hangman Page, that was like one of those few words that resonated so hard. And it kind of like, you saw positive, but you saw a lot of negative. And I expected that. I expected people to like have mixed reviews on those kind of things. Or like, oh, what am I trying to perpetuate? And I'm like, no, I'm speaking real. Like, I have no problem saying that. It's not taboo. It's my culture. I have the right to speak on my culture and what I view and what people that are like me view. And I want to be, and I know I can do it. I look this man in the eyes very proudly and say, I know that what I can do for you in this company, and I've been proving it for 1.5 years.
Absolutely.
And I know you know that too. Yeah. You wouldn't have me here if you didn't.
It's very true. And just to put it in perspective, how far you've come in 1.5 years, how far the company's come in 1.5 years. I don't know if you know this. This is a story I've never told you, I don't think. You may know it, not from me though. The first pay-per-view you were at, you mentioned Revolution 2022. It's been 1.5 years. You've been in AEW since you first signed. And of course, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, two of the great AEW world champions, they were up here singing your praises. It was actually the opening match of Revolution 22. It was during the period where Kenny Omega was out injured following Full Gear 2021, but it was Revolution 2022. Chris Jericho was in the opening match of the show. He wrestled Eddie Kingston in the opening match. Later in the show, you came out and signed, and Chris came to me in the chair. And Chris has a brilliant wrestling mind, and he's doing all kinds of projects. He was honestly not, when you came to AEW, he wasn't familiar with you. And he asked me, and he said, he's a really cool looking wrestler. Tell me about him. And I said, I'm a huge fan of his work. He's wrestled a lot in Seattle, Orlando, different companies. I'm a huge fan. He's going to do awesome for us. You're going to love him. And here we are 1.5 years later, and Chris Jericho sitting in this chair after watching you for 1.5 years put over. He thinks you're one of the best wrestlers in the world, and that you did that. You convinced one of the best minds in wrestling, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and in 1.5 years. And I think you've made believers of millions of people all over the world, and wrestled on some of the greatest pay-per-views, in my opinion, of all time. Certainly the greatest pay-per-views we've done. You've been a huge part of what's been happening in AEW in the 1.5 years you've been here. You've already been a world champion, a world tag team champion, and I think you can be a great champion as a single star or whatever you want to be. But we love having you in AEW, and I hope you had a great birthday weekend, Swerve.
The best.
Swinton monthly peer. So when you say that AEW needs a father figure, what does that entail?
There's a lot of lost souls in this company that need guidance. I feel it's my duty, my civil duty, to make sure that they're guided in the right direction. And Nick Wayne, like I said, he's got a bright, bright future now. Smart boy.
Lyrics Swinton Monthly Pure. So Orange Cassidy, you just had a monumental run as the AEW International Champion. So what is the next big goal for you currently in AEW? And for Shibata-san, I know your father was a referee and you grew up around Antonio Inoki. What did it mean for you to participate in this tribute show to him tonight?
Should I go first?
Okay.
I'll go first. You want me to go first or Shibata?
You want to go first?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you.
Shibata,
You.
please.
You. Shibata's Ichiban.
Yeah, please, always.
I am very grateful to be able to participate in today's ceremony. Thank you, Tony. There is one problem. My battery is low, so today's translation will be done by Japan's biological Japanese machine.
There it is.
Okay, good. My man.
There you go.
My man.
I forgot the question because that was wild. What'd you ask? I'm so sorry. That I can't think right now. Yeah. What's next? Like I said when I walked in here and it said former international champion. You don't have something for so long, and then when you don't have it, it's impossible to miss it. It gave me a lot of purpose, and it was something that I never felt before, especially in professional wrestling. So, it almost became an identity, which is difficult for me to say, but it is still at the forefront of my mind. And I think tonight, when I saw an opportunity to get into the ring with the current international champion, I took that opportunity for a reason. And, I just want it back. Yeah, that's it.
Lyrics Swinton Monthly Pure. So Kris, you are now the defeater of the undefeated ×2. What is next for you? Who are the people that you are still excited to get into the ring with, both in AEW as well as outside of AEW?
Well, starting within AEW, I think we got a really cool taste of the potential of me and Tony Storm. I think if there's a potential of maybe me and Saraya, find out who's the better champion. Even Athena. There's so many people that I've yet to get my hands on, and I would love to. And outside of AEW, I think there's just so many people that the list would go on. And of course, I am always open. Like I always say, anyone, anytime, any place. I would love to pick names, but there's just so many possibilities that I would be here forever listing them all.
And what's amazing is you've got so much chemistry with some of your opponents. You've had great rematches. You and Julia had great matches before, but this was on a completely different level, and the chemistry is off the charts. I think it showed how far she's come, but you as well. I think it's obvious you're the champion, how far you've come to be a great champion in AEW and a dominant champion. But Julia, since your first meeting, since your last meeting, Julia's come so far, and I thought she was amazing tonight.
I totally agree. Yeah, she was definitely a whole different person from the first time we wrestled, the second time we wrestled, and she was a challenge tonight. But I'm also just very proud of how much she's improved, and I think she's incredible.
I also thought 2 weekends ago you had an amazing rematch with Dr. Britt Baker. You have a lot of history with Britt Baker. You've had great matches, and that might have been the best one yet.
Yes, my goal is to always leave them wanting more, and I think it could go on forever with a lot of people.
It's been amazing on a great run of matches. I thought that was incredible just in the last few weeks. You've been wrestling so great, and I also think your confidence is off the charts. I think your promos, your interviews have been better than ever. You're just doing everything so well.
Thank you.
Chris Jericho, you have appeared this year in PWG, Rev Pro, and it was recently announced that you will be going to DDT to face Konosuke Takeshita. Can you talk a little bit about this crazy run of going places that you've never been before. And for Kenny, I know that earlier this year you faced Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom, and obviously you lost him at Forbidden Door. So can we expect to see you back in New Japan, or possibly making a return to DDT at any time?
I can start if you. Sure,
Well,
up to you. Go for it.
To me, like, I think since AEW started, like, I had kind of a pact with myself that I wouldn't work anywhere other than for Vince. And then when the New Japan opportunity to work with Kenny came up, that was like a whole new world. And then when we started AEW with Tony, then suddenly, like, there's so many cool places to go and work. I've never been to PWG, and I always kind of thought, what is it all about? And it was just the perfect night with Danny Garcia bringing the Jericho Appreciation Society in there. Great surprise for the fans. Attacking Ospreay in London at Rev Pro. Great surprise for the fans. Lights go out when Takesha's in the ring at Korakuen Hall last week, and Jericho video comes up. It's a surprise for the fans. I like doing cool things that keep people excited about what I'm doing and keep people entertained, and doing things that nobody else expects. I've kind of really made a name for that. So yeah, I'm excited to work with DDT. Tony obviously gave me his blessing. I want to go back to Japan. I mean, Kenny and I had such a great run in New Japan. Between the two of us, we headlined 3 Tokyo Domes 3 years in a row. He did 2, I did 2, and I missed that. The pandemic kind of screwed that up. So I'm really excited to go back to Japan. I mean, my first tour, I was 20 years old, 1991. So anytime I get a chance to go there, especially against a talent like Konosuke Takeshita, one of our greatest wrestlers here in AEW right now. So to be in his home turf, so to speak, with a new company, and I've been to the Sumo Arena probably, 3 dozen times at this point, but I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Speaking of Takeshita and big matches, we spoke earlier before I came in here. You requested a match for this Wednesday in Stockton, California, coming out of tonight. And it sounds like a great match, so I'm going to book the match. And it's going to be Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita and Sammy Guevara this Wednesday on Wednesday Night Dynamite. I thought the match tonight was excellent, and I look forward to a great tag team match this Wednesday to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of Wednesday Night Dynamite. Very fitting to me that on the very first episode of Dynamite, you two are on opposite sides, and you and Sammy, of course, aligned that night on the first episode. And here we are. You two are together. Takeshita, someone you brought into AEW, standing opposite you, and Sammy Guevara, someone you brought into AEW, standing opposite you.
True, yeah.
And it's a bit of rivalry. Should be a great match to celebrate 4 years of Dynamite that you've both been a part of every step of the way.
Yeah, I'm excited for that match, and I do think it's fitting as well. I really feel that we've got something special here, Chris. The chemistry we have between one another, and I never would have thought that'd be possible. I always thought that my greatest magic would be standing opposite from you, but it seems that when we're on the same side, we've got some sort of je ne sais quoi.
Winnipeg, man.
Yeah,
That's
that's
got to
got to
be
be what it
Winnipeg
is.
in the
Yeah.
ice and snow and not have some sort of a connection.
That's right. But to answer your question, Japan, of course, is like a second home to me. So there's always it's a feeling of like longing when I haven't been there for a long time. I try to get out when I can, and I try to have some sort of business connection to it as much as I can. Of course, I still have friends there, people that I regard almost as like distant family members. And my time in New Japan too, it was some of the greatest moments of my life, and some of the most proudest work of my life. And like Chris had said, between the two of us, I think we did 3 Tokyo Dome main events each in a span of 3 years, or 3 or 4 years it was. So, the match catalog is there. It's work that I can always look back at fondly, relationships and stuff that I can look back as very fond memories. And I've luckily been able to bring some of that back here to AEW, and I'm glad we can see Ibushi here. I'm glad that now that AEW is its own sort of existence, I'm able to go back not only for New Japan, but there are opportunities as well, just like Chris, to go back to DDT. Again, that's the first promotion that took a chance on me. And that was the first place to accept me as me, and they allowed me the conduit for my own creative freedom, and to kind of design and create this Kenny Omega character, which then evolved into the Cleaner, which then evolved into the Best Bout Machine, and all that sort of stuff. So it was a great starting block to really build on myself. And then
again, when it was time to see, when it felt like I had sort of grown, when I felt that there was stones left unturned, when it was time to take a chance again on myself, it allowed me to build up the confidence to really believe in myself and in Tony and in Kris and in AEW. And thus, we've created something pretty wonderful that people, again, like Adam Copeland, believes in as well. So, again, I'm very proud of my time there, but I'm also proud that it was able to lead into something that I'm very proud of here. So will I be willing to go back? Do I hope to go back? Of course, all the time, every year. But first and foremost, I'm really trying to do what I can for the incredible athletes and superstars that are here in AEW today.
Lyric Swinton, monthly peer. So you have been known to spend the big bucks when it comes to music in AEW, and I think that that's been something that's resonated with a lot of fans. So talk about like how important it is for you to, secure some of those big tunes, whether it's, Final Countdown at Forbidden Door, or even tonight bringing in Metalingus for Adam Copeland.
It's really important. It always helps when you have a big star like Adam who's really well connected and can help you save a couple bucks on the price too. That's always nice. Unfortunately, Brian wasn't so well connected with Europe. That one really cost me. And then there's other opportunities along the way, like, Jefferson. When we first came to them on Jane, to be honest with you, I don't think they had any interest in doing it with us. And then when Pixies got really over, all of a sudden Jefferson came back with a very fair price quote, and we were able to bring Orange the song that he'd been associated with long before he got to AEW. I'm really appreciate you asking that. Thanks, Lyric, because before the show, I was saying in my office to a lot of the producers and coaches and production staff, it's a huge part of what we do. It's such a huge part of AEW's identity and something that sets us apart, and I think helps make the show feel cool and different than anything else in wrestling. It's a very Major League Wrestling show. We do shows in front of big arenas and now even a packed stadium in Wembley, and play very identifiable music. We have really cool songs that are original songs, some of them like from AEW ourselves internally. Adam Cole's a great example of that. There are a lot of great examples of songs that Mikey Ruckus and the team put together. And then there's people that come in with music that's still relatively original, like Darby Allin, for example, that while it is a mainstream artist, it is a song that I think a lot of people identify with Darby. And I think it's great to be able to bring in a lot of outside music and then bring in classic tracks like Jefferson for Jane, which is such a great fit. And I'm really very glad they did choose to work with Orange Cassidy. I think it's been great for everybody. And Final Countdown was a great example of that. And I love bringing in classic songs. And there's some I've tried for. Probably the most important one we ever did, and the one that meant the most to me, was when we got Ol 55 by Tom Waits for the Brody Lee tribute. When I heard the song, I thought it was like the perfect song, and he was in a bad way. And just in case it was not looking good. And so I started working on getting the song in case, hoping I would never have to use it. And unfortunately we did, but I think we also, in doing so, put together the best tribute show in the history of pro wrestling on December 30th, 2020. And number of other times we've gotten the songs. It just feels like a really important part of what we do. And like I said, it's something that sets us apart. I think on the entrances, our wrestlers are really identifiable. A lot of times the wrestlers come to me with a track they want to use. And if it's something that's available that we can get, and if it's something I'm feeling and I like, then I always want to do it and take a big swing and try to get those songs. So we have done that. One of the coolest things we did, in my opinion, was at Wembley Stadium for All In. Saraya asked if we could get Queen "We Will Rock You." And I really thought it set the tone for the match and the moment and for a championship win. And that was a great idea. And again, it wasn't a cheap one, but that's a really big song, and it was a great moment. And, that's worth it to do those kinds of things. So I really felt really good about that one. I thought that was really, really cool. Thank you for asking.